problems on problems on problems on problems I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage, I'm going through something. That's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression is all that I wanted. The bow and affection, I summon and dumb it. Cause bitch, I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage, I'm going through something. That's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression is all that I wanted. The bow and affection, I summon and dub it.
All of my dollars on côté, so hit me them. All of my dollars on côté. All of my dollars on côté, so hit me them. All of my dollars on côté.
With your average, I'm as you all know more.
What is up, everybody? Hey, so glad to have you guys here. Kris Krohn here. We did have some technical difficulties. I didn't know that a hard landline could go down, but we are here, and I want to just welcome all of you out tonight. If you guys are excited for today's conversation, do me a favor, drop a 1 in the chat. Would love to hear from you. And I've got a very, very special guest for this evening, so I'm pumped to share all that with you guys. Light up that chat. Let me know that you're live, that you're here. I got Tracy coming on, bouncing with the first one, and then we got Josh. And then we got Gustavo on, and here comes Nicole and the rest of you. So welcome. So super excited to have all of you guys here. All right, Ethan, Josh, we're gonna get started on the slides so that we can get rocking and rolling here. We are on day 2 of our 5-day 27X challenge, learning the strategy to retire a multimillionaire 27 times faster through the game of real estate. And specifically here Tuesday, we're gonna be hitting the real estate strategy on how to retire a multimillionaire 27 times faster. And what we're doing is we're hitting quadrupling your retirement ROI by accessing real estate in the top markets. Now, I'm only ever investing in the top 5 markets, and I'm gonna be sharing my 3 favorite of those with you here tonight. And a couple other things here. I'm here to prove during the 5-day challenge that you can do turnkey passive real estate deals that produce a minimum of 25% ROI annually. That is what gives you, like we proved yesterday, 27 times more money. And I also showed you that if you're averaging 34%, not 25, it's 108x growth over that 20-year period of time. So we are Tuesday, of course. Yesterday, we talked all about the retirement crisis and a guaranteed way to overcome it. Here Tuesday, we're talking about quadrupling your retirement ROI to 27x your retirement. Now, at the end of today, we do have a $100 Amazon gift card that we'll be giving away. So we're just here to have some fun, live it up, and I want you guys to be dropping in the chat questions that you have because we're gonna be going live on all this. And I think I just wanna start with a couple of numbers from yesterday that I wanna make sure don't get overlooked. Because we've got people that are leveraging 401ks and IRAs for retirement, and at 65, they're averaging $254,000. And if you just pause and you think about that, $254,000 is 3 years worth of living based on your living expenses, because at that age, people are spending $83,000 a year. So it's inadequate, it's not enough. Forbes says we need $3.1 million. Here's the math by review that I showed you yesterday of what happens if you quadruple and go from 6% to 25. If you remember from yesterday, $50,000 sitting at 6%, that triples in 20 years. However, at 25%, it 27x's into $4.3 million. And when you compare the two of them, it's pretty wild, guys, isn't it? I mean, it's pretty wild. And if you want to do it faster, if you want to go faster, then my ROIs that I average are 34%. Today, we're going to do some live deals. I'm going to show you a bunch of these. And at 34%, that your money, your 50K from retirement turns into $17.4 million. Puts you on a total different planet for where you want to be financially. That's 108x to 1. And so there's your numbers right there, guys. Like, that's the proof of what it is we're doing. But now I got to show you how to do it. And I've got a guest that's going to help me with that. And so if you want any proof, there might be a few of you here that are joining me tonight for the first time. You weren't here yesterday. And I'm just going to tell you right now, here's some of those deals. This is a deal that we did in Florida with a 37.15% ROI. Here's another one with 29.7%, all of these above 25%. Here's another deal. You can screenshot. This one is 31.8% ROI. These are deals that I've all bought in my past, but of course I'm going to be doing 3 live deals here tonight, actually 4. And this is one with 40.55% ROI. Bottom line, 25% ROI in real estate is 4 times higher than your typical 6% for retirement, and it gives you 27x more money. The big secret to quadrupling your retirement ROI, it's not just real estate. Tonight, we're really gonna talk not just about the deal, we're actually gonna talk about the market, the location of where it is. Bottom line, Forbes also says that the average real estate investor makes 10.4% on their deals. You guys know I average 34%, but we'll never touch a deal unless it's 25%. Now, today we're gonna explore the top 3 markets out of 324, and this is just letting you guys know throughout the week of the challenge, I'm doing live game plans. If you click the link livegameplan.com, drop me basically the answer to 8 questions, including your income, your savings, your credit. By the way, if you're in a good spot or a bad spot, I started in a bad spot and I am where I am today. Livegameplan.com is where you go. Xavier, if you can drop that in the chat for any of our friends here, go to livegameplan.com and here's what you're gonna answer. First, just your basics of your first and last name, your email, your phone number. You can do that right now. Then I want you to just tell me, what's your job? What's your annual income? Do you have an idea what your credit score is? And then the last question there is, how much have you actually saved between 401ks and IRAs and home equity? And lastly, are you a homeowner? And if so, what is your home worth and what do you owe? And with that, you just answer those 2 last questions of, yes, Kris, you can select me to do a live game plan. I want you to do that for me. Yes, Kris, you and your team can reach out to me to give me a multimillionaire's perspective. And what that's gonna do is that's going to get you set up for a free game plan. All right, now everyone here should have done that. And with that, let me introduce our guest for tonight to do our market update for Q2 of 2024. I wanna welcome you guys to Tyler Bennett. Dude, Tyler, how we doing, brother?
Doing well, Kris. Pumped to be here.
Guys, Tyler Bennett has transacted over $2 billion worth of real estate with me over the last 20 years. Totaling over 6,500 single family homes. It's pretty wild when you think about it, man.
It's a lot of houses, one at a time.
We've done a lot. Back in 2008, dude, was so amazing because everyone said it was the sky is falling. It's the worst timing ever. And we went into like markets that were overbuilt, like Phoenix and Vegas, and did thousands of deals. And guys, Tyler's the one that was really behind that entire game. All right, Josh, if you can just give me a thumbs up that we are going back and forth between Tyler and I on slides and everything we set. Well, Tyler, let's do this, man. What I would love for you to do is actually launch us into our update and would love to kind of hear what is happening in the market. Guys, we're gonna actually talk about where we're buying real estate. We're actually gonna transact live deals. So you're actually gonna see this go down live with some of my partners, but let's just take a few minutes and talk about this crazy market and why we're so excited about it.
Yeah, that brought back memories of going to the auctions in Phoenix and Las Vegas with briefcases
With
just
cash.
full of cash.
Which is like
after
bodyguards, cash.
after we'd sent out a team of guys at 5 a.m. to break into the houses and knock on doors to figure out if the house was in one piece still, and those were wild times, fun
Wild
times.
times.
So what's going on in the economy right now? We're gonna do a quick brief on what's going on. I have a slide here that just shows the Fed chairman today just made some comments, and long story short is higher for longer. Okay, inflation is being sticky right now. It's staying in that 3.5% to 4% mark.
Which is so good for real estate because it's bumping up all our ROIs. It is artificially keeping rates a little high, but I know we expect that later on this year, they're gonna be coming down.
Yeah, and it really, what it means is buy now, refinance later, because it's holding prices down so we can pay less for the property. The rates are a little bit higher, so pay less today, a little bit higher rate, a little bit less cash flow today, refinance tomorrow, get more cash flow, but not have to pay tomorrow's prices because rates will go, or prices will go back up with rates.
And guys, we're calling this like an amazing recession. And I know that sounds weird to say, because you have to start thinking counter-cyclically that a recession is bad if you're making the wrong moves. A recession is good if you're making the right moves.
Yeah, it's like the best recession ever, right? Because it's not really even a recession. And so here's some slides that just kind of show unemployment is really healthy. People are getting back to work, right? The economy overall is just booming at the end of the day because they're trying to hold it back, but they just can't. So people are back to work. You have inflation in some areas starting to fall, right? Here's an area of food. If you've shopped for used car prices recently, you can see used car prices are down, food's coming down. So there's some areas where these higher rates are having an impact and getting back to kind of pre-COVID type of pricing.
Well, and there's people that might be wondering, it's like, how on earth does that even relate to the game of real estate, and yet understanding the economy gives a really good understanding of actually what's happening and going on. So let's talk about the American stockpile crash, because I think that's really significant to this.
What's happening is everyone's holding on to their cash. So everyone was waiting for this huge recession, this hard landing, whatever it is, and it was, I'm gonna sit on my cash. Obviously, the Fed pumped a lot of cash into the market, so I'm gonna sit on my cash and I'm gonna wait for everything to go on clearance. Well, it's not going on clearance.
And there's cash everywhere.
There's cash everywhere. So there's over $17 trillion of cash sitting there, and this is in households. You have businesses, you have private equity firms that are sitting on a lot of cash, and so they're just waiting for this opportunity that probably is never going to come with everything on clearance.
So right now, Peter Lynch just said far more money has been lost by investors preparing for corrections or trying to anticipate corrections than has actually been lost in corrections themselves.
Yeah, interesting to think about, right? I'm just going to keep my money on the sidelines. It's in a money market making 4% and inflation's 4%. So I'm making nothing on it, but it feels safe, and I'm waiting for that opportunity that never comes versus just being in the market. So our strategy is all about time in the market, not timing the market. The more assets, the more real estate you acquire and time you have in the market, the more you get appreciation. And then we just optimize along the way. We refinance when rates drop, or we buy or sell here and buy here. And we just continue to navigate the market.
Well, and the question is, I think on a lot of people's minds, as we start, guys, if we start showing you what we're doing in real estate, because we're missing 7.2 million homes, it's going to take a decade before we absolve that, which means in the meantime, once rates come down, prices are going to keep on skyrocketing. The Fed has drained a lot of cash from the system, and they've done it in a hurry. Yeah.
So, but where are there cracks in the dam, right? We just talked about a lot of good news, but where are there cracks? So the Fed pumped a ton of money into the economy, and we don't know what the long-term impacts of that are. Multifamily housing. So there's a lot of variable rate or commercial type lending that resets, right? Every 3 years or 5 years. And you have people that went into projects that are now and over the next 2-3 years are going to experience higher rates, which means negative cash flow, and defaults are starting to climb up.
Well, we got the credit card delinquencies that are now starting to climb, and they're starting to move, as well as bankruptcies.
Exactly.
That are higher as well.
So the impacts of the higher rates, the inflation, and the dollar not stretching as far, we're starting to feel. And so those are some concerns, right, to be aware of that are out there in the market. And so really the question is, the $1 million question, what's going to happen with rates? And this slide's not quite updated with the news just from this week, because it hasn't really come out yet. But now, after today, they're saying maybe rates start to drop Q3, Q4.
Yeah.
Maybe 2, if we're lucky, 3 this year. And again, even in 2025, they're not going to drop like we thought coming into this year. And so we just got to kind of buckle up and say, okay, it is what it is. Now, where do we find opportunity based on current market conditions?
All right, so guys, here's what we're going to do. We are going to talk, we're going to get to some of these amazing deals that we're doing, but I want to help you understand, how is it that we're producing a 34% ROI on the game of real estate? And the answer is, before you look for a really good deal, you actually look for a really hot market. Imagine being able to go into LA 1980. They were freaking out, basically saying, oh no, real estate just got up to $100,000. It's like this nowhere in the country. This isn't sustainable. And everyone said there has to be a crash. It has to come back down back to $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a home. But every one of us actually knows what happened to real estate. Those exact same homes now are $1 million homes. And as much as everyone wants to complain about affordability, the prices of real estate are going to keep rising, and they're right now rising really, really quickly. So Tyler, what I want to do is I want to jump into single family real estate, and I want to talk about the game of what's really happening there, because we are going to share 3 specific markets, and we're also going to transact some live deals. So I'm really, really pumped about tonight. Guys, we also have time for some Q&A. It's going to be an awesome time for us to just dive on in and really explore how it is we're getting these high ROIs that we can pass on to you. Because yesterday's conversation was all about partnering. It basically is, if you want to put in your 10,000 Malcolm Gladwell hours, become an expert, and then do it. But if you're not going to do that and you're going to do shortcuts, then go find an expert, someone like me, partner up, let me do 100% of the work, and then let's build this monster multi-million dollar portfolio.
So really the question is, why do we focus on these entry-level single-family homes? And the short, quick version is, we were doing real estate from 2003-4 to 2007, and we were building spec homes, buying homes at auctions, fix and flips, land development. And a lot of those didn't work. 2008 and 2009 happened. And Kris and I, we learned a lot. And from our own portfolios, from our client portfolios. And the reality is it was these entry-level single family homes that survived that. And why is that? The values didn't drop as much. But more importantly, the rents didn't go anywhere. And in fact, we increased rents and our vacancies improved in 2009 and 10 during the world falling apart in the housing markets because we had more demand. We had more customers.
Now, what you guys care about at the end of the day is, am I retiring? Like, I did some VIP sessions and I talked to some people that actually had just retired, and there was a couple of scenarios where it's like, yeah, I actually just retired from 40 years at my company and I have $300,000 or I have $500,000. And then you start doing the math and realizing, wait a second, that is not enough money. So for us to get 27 times more money, that person that has $500,000 instead could literally have $9 million if they had just been averaging a 25% ROI in the market, which real estate does. And we're going to show you those deals. But to get there, I want to talk about a real estate box.
Yeah.
Because very, very specifically, last night I revealed that the only real estate I buy is single family homes, priced below the median, at least 3 to 4 bedrooms, newer homes, and in the top markets. And when you do that, that's how we're actually getting into these high ROIs that, by the way, Grant Cardone cannot do with multifamily, that a number of other people can't do with development and other real estate strategies. And so, Tyler, let's go deep on the box.
Yeah, so really it came down to what works in up, down, and sideways markets. And it was this box, this entry-level single-family home. But more importantly, once we identified the box, then it was, how do we identify which markets are the best markets to be in? And then how do we go find the best deals in those markets? How do we finance them? How do we insure them? How do we manage them? And it really comes down to this strategy around create, managing, and protecting. Because what happened is we saw so many people that were creating and managing, but they had the wrong strategy. And so when the market conditions changed, they lost everything.
Yeah.
And because it was built too much on speculation. And so we developed this box saying, well, we can eliminate the majority of the risk, yet we can still have upside of 25% appreciation. And there's not another investment that I know of with this low amount of risk and high upside.
So my father-in-law, who bought his very first investment property with me, we've done 50 properties now. And he last year retired a multimillionaire, $7 million net worth. And all that happened because he had a 401k. He converted some of that and some of his home equity into these investment properties. And then they grew and they expanded. Same thing like we're talking about with everyone here. The only difference is I got started with him 18 years ago, and he's had a chance to build a multi-million-dollar portfolio. And for you, if you've got time in the market, 15 to 20 years before you retire, and you can have real estate just compounding at 25 or 34% ROIs, things get really, really crazy.
Yeah, and I'll share my personal experience of, what happened with me in the market. And for your father-in-law, really it comes down to there's 4 profit centers inside of real estate. And you talked about this a little bit yesterday, Kris, but there's cash flow, there's principal reduction, and there's depreciation, and tax savings and tax strategy. And you're going to dive more into that, I know, later. And then appreciation. And the combination of each of these get you to that 25 to 40% plus.
Well, and if you take a look at the net cash flow, guys, eyes on the screen. If you're making 2 or 3, 4% ROI annually on the cash flow, that's the top left. Then in the bottom left, if your principal reduction is about 4%, that's basically having tenants live there, making your monthly payments so that it gets paid down. On the top right, you've got another 3% ROI on average between depreciation and tax savings. And then in the bottom right, you have appreciation of 15 to 30%. When you add all that up, that's where you're on the low side. We're never touching a deal unless we're at 25% ROI. And we often see deals between 30, 35, and 40 with the way we calculate things. Now, Tyler, the cool thing is when we started doing this, when we were both young bucks, you had already kind of started your real estate story. Yep. I had started mine. Last night they heard about mine. Tell me about your.
Yeah. So this is the first house that I ever bought. And my wife and I lived in this house when we were first married in 2004. We lived in there for a year. We moved out. And when we moved out, I decided to rent it, and we were making $25 a month. So we were getting rich fast. And
you had bought it as a place to live in. You hadn't thought of it as a rental.
No.
But you kept it as one.
Yeah. And let me show you what this particular house has done. And these are the first 3 houses. So then we moved into the next one and rented it out, and then moved into the next one. So these are my first 3 houses that I bought between 2004 and 2007. Arguably one of the worst times to acquire real estate, because what happened shortly after?
Yeah, the crash.
Yeah. So they were worth about $1 million, a little over $1 million prior to the crash. Well, the crash happened and they dropped. Okay. But I still have these homes today. And this is the power of time in the market. Today, they're worth over $2 million. And with the cash flow that I've collected on these houses, I'm at $2.7 million versus $865,000. So if I hadn't have had positive cash flow and been able to ride out the downturn, I would have lost these houses. And that's over $2 million that I would have lost from that.
Well, so, and here's something that I think a lot of people don't understand. When you get to retirement, you have 2 assets. You have retirement, and then you have your what? You have your house. Now, you're trained not to think of your house as an asset, but on average, you have $254,000 in 401ks and IRAs. And on average, the average American right now in this moment, a study completed in 2024 shows that the average equity position for the average American in this country is $299,000, basically 300 grand. And you think, I'm 65, I don't have enough for retirement, but I have more equity in my home than my retirement. I wish I had just bought 2 more homes. I'd be a millionaire. Yeah. And that's what Tyler's showing. Those 3 homes made him $2.7 million. And to you, then I say, well, then why not 10 homes? Well, why not 20 homes? Then you retire with millions of dollars like Tyler's about to show you.
Yeah. So what have I done? I've just done exactly what we've helped all of our clients do over the years. And here's what a portion of my portfolio looks like today. And what's the summary of it when you look at the numbers? Okay. 20 years later, 18 properties that are worth over $14 million. I have over $11 million in equity, and my total rent income every single month is just shy of $40,000 and over $21,000 in cash flow. Life-changing, right? And at the end of the day, to me, I'm an ordinary guy. There's nothing special about me besides having an extraordinary real estate game plan. And I think that's really important, because all you have to do is just execute on the type of real estate that we do and let it work its magic, and it can produce extraordinary results.
All right, now here's the cool thing is in the chat, I'm starting to say, okay, so what are these markets that they're in? And we're actually going to reveal these in just a little bit. But dude, introduce us to your sweet family.
Yeah.
This is your motivation, dude.
Yeah, for me, it's about the why, right? What does this residual income really represent? Here's my family and my 5 kids and all the craziness that goes along with that. My wife and I on some vacations in Mexico. I like to show this. This is our family schedule for this year. And darn near every single one of these columns is out of state. My kids participate in sports, and we travel all over the place for their athletics. And the residual income that I've been able to create has enabled me to support this, right? And be there, both be able to pay for it and physically support them in these activities. And then lastly, this is a house that we just built. And I show this.
Back up one. I think that's a beautiful looking home. That's
Thank you.
Custom.
Yeah. Custom home. We just moved in about 6 months ago. And I like to show this picture. Why am I showing the pantry and a fridge full of drinks? Well, the reason we built this home, it's got an indoor basketball court, an indoor batting cage. All my kids' teams come and do their practices there, a gym, ping pong, pool table,
you're like
all
the
that
community
stuff.
Center.
Yeah. And that's what we built it for. If we stock our pantry full of food and our fridge full of drinks, it's very normal for us to have 20, 30, 40 kids over at our house on any given night. And to us, that's why we did it.
You're a saint though, or you're ludicrous, bro.
Yeah, it is. Every once in a while, I'm like, I really wish my house was quiet right now and we could get some sleep. But at the end of the day, we did it on purpose because we wanted to create an environment where people felt comfortable, where they could feel positive energy and the love that's inside of our house. And we keep these kids active. Yeah. We have so much for them to do. You come to our house, it's not a bunch of teenagers on their phones. They are doing things, and we wanted to be able to create that space, and that's what real estate's been able to do for me.
So guys, here's what we're gonna do right now. I want to share with you the markets that we're buying in. The reason why I buy in the top markets, I will never ever buy real estate again in my backyard, where most of you live, unless it's one of these neighbors and one of these areas. I don't buy real estate. And the reason why is, you might be wondering, it's like, okay, if Forbes says that the average person produces a 10.5% ROI, how are we getting 25 on the minimum and 34 on the average? Well, you've heard the adage, location, location, location. Most people think that talks about a part of town, but there's actually 3 things to think about. I'd write this down. Number one is that the state that you buy in determines the macroeconomics. Then when you narrow down where you're gonna buy, what part of town, the path of progress, determines your next ROI. And then finally, what determines your ultimate ROI is the house itself. Most investors, they look at a house first, and I look at a house last. And so this is the box. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna reveal right now our very first market. Let's talk about Memphis, Tennessee, and why out of 324 markets, this is a place where we have built a monstrous portfolio for my partners around the world.
Yeah. So we have over 2,000 houses now in Memphis that we've acquired. And really it comes down to one of the number one criteria for markets that we identify is population inflow. We want to be where people are moving into.
Guys, you're gonna want to screenshot because we're gonna go pretty fast here. And we've got loads of data. We're just gonna share the most salient points.
Perfect. So Memphis really comes down to the 4 R's, okay? Runways, huge international airport, FedEx is there. Railways, you got train system that's coming through there, roads and rivers. So it's a huge hub of movement of commerce and goods, and a lot of blue collar workers that are good jobs. And those are really good tenants, and it's a very favorable business and landlord state.
And yet we need to add some other dynamic when we select a market. So eyes on the screen. Ford is moving in Blue Oval City and dropping $11 billion to create 11,000 jobs. And what that means is that we are missing homes. It's like overnight, everyone wanted a baby, and then you snap your fingers and the baby is all of a sudden here, and everyone says, my home doesn't work anymore, we need more homes. And if you want to know what really drives in a submarket the value of real estate, it's supply demand. So when we go into a submarket like this, we select a market where large industry is moving in, where it exists, where it's moving in, because what it does is it creates a need for a glut of homes, and the prices start dramatically rising in real estate. And since we're only going to be in this market for like 5, 7 to 10 years max, we need the market to not just have stable economics, affordability, all the macros and population. We also need something special, infrastructure, billions of dollars going in, that's going to create a little bit of a housing nightmare. And we capitalize on that nightmare right here.
Yeah, and I was just out there, and these are pictures that I took from my phone when I was out there. And this plant is under construction. Jobs are coming in, so you have all these construction jobs, and then you have a lot of long-term jobs, and those jobs create jobs because those new employees come in and consume,
and food,
and it just trickles down. And so we're chasing this, right? We're buying homes surrounding this, knowing what this is going to create.
And this allows us to do what you're about to see right here on the screen. Now, this is our first time this week reviewing a pro forma. I would recommend screenshotting this, and let me show you right now what you're looking at. So this is a house that was built in 1962 that has been completely refurbished.
Yep.
Now in this market, we will buy older homes, but they've got to be completely renovated, because often we're buying in neighborhoods like you'll see in Florida where we'll buy homes that are literally brand new in subdivisions. But in this market, this is a 2,300 square foot, 4-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom home. That's what you can see on the far left. And on the top middle, it's a $260,000 home. And when you take a look at the information on the right, you have all, by the way, I get that you're looking at a ton of information, and the reality is it's overwhelming, but right in the dead center, you have what's called a cash on cash ROI. And if you can see in dark gray, it says 5 years, and there's 4 columns, and we're gonna add up the 4 ROIs. It's a 3.08% on the cash on cash, a 6.7% if you add in the principal reduction, meaning the tenant's paying down the mortgage. If we add on top of that depreciation from taxes, we're now at 9.9%. And when I add in the appreciation of this market based on a 20% down payment, I'm now earning 29.21% ROI. And remember, all of my assumptions are 20% conservative. So when this house in 2 years in hindsight, we look back and say, hey, we projected a 29% ROI, and now we actually not just have a forecast, we now know that we did a 37% ROI. That's because we keep all of our numbers really conservative. And I'm just gonna ask you guys in the chat, help me out. If I can drop $50,000 of cash in the market from a 401k, an IRA, or equity, and if I'm earning at least 25%, then that means that 20 years later, this 50K turns into what? Do you remember the number? This is super important. $50,000 over 20 years at a 25% ROI turns into what? Fabian, you're really close. Fabian put 17 million. That's what it turns into if you're getting my ROIs of 34%. But if it's even just producing, Wade got it right and Jake got it right, it's $4.3 million if you're doing 25%. Now, $4.3 million doesn't make you rich, but $4.3 million is what I call a nice start to retirement. Now, if we're doing my 17%, if we're doing $17 million, that dramatically changes the deal. By the way, this house that we were looking at, if we can just back it up and look at that, one of my partners, Seth Berbert, literally just closed on this house. Now, he's my partner, so he put up the cash for this. I did all of the work. Tyler's team put in 342 hours worth of work. This house will probably average over our 34% annual ROI. And this is the start for Seth of building a $17 million portfolio over the next 20 years. So I want you to think about that and lock that in, because we are going to be doing 3 live deals tonight, and we've got those coming up right around the corner. But first I want to introduce another one of our markets that we're also in, since we told you that we tell you at least 3 of them tonight.
And Kris, one thing that's really neat to think about is if interest rates drop 1.5% and then we refinance, that cash on cash ROI doubles.
Yeah.
And that's how we really exceed the expectations that we set on these. Next market, Oklahoma City. So another kind of blue collar market. This is a cash flow market. So a little bit more cash flow today, a little bit less growth versus a growth market that we'll talk about next. But one of the things that's really attractive about Oklahoma City is the entry point. So we can do, I'll show you a house right here, a brand new house for $198,000.
And we just got to pause for a moment, because the national median nationwide is $436,000. Guys, if you live in an average national median part of the world, you're paying $436,000 for a house. We're doing a house here brand new for $198,000. Now, will you back up just one slide for a second? Because I really want to just talk a little bit about the macroeconomics of what is happening, because you've got AT&T, Boeing Company, you got Hertz Corporation, Fidelity Insurance, Chesapeake Energy, you've got an Air Force base. You have a lot of really big industry in this market, and right now it ranks really low on the affordability scale, which means that people can come here, make a great life for themselves, but because of the busting economy, we've got high appreciation, we've got really high cash flows, and this is why this is one of our top markets.
Yeah, and affordability, Kris, that's a huge factor for us right now, because there are other parts of the country where the average wages are very similar to Oklahoma City, but the cost of housing might be $100,000 more on average. And so that trickles down to our tenants too, and the tenant profile, because it's really important. Not only do we identify markets based on what the housing looks like, but it's also the tenant profile. What's their average income? How much of their income are they allocating towards their housing expense? And is there some cushion there, so if they have issues, they can still pay rent on time?
All right, so guys, let's take a look at this house. And I want to give you a reminder real quick. This document that I shared with you last night, it got emailed to every single one of you. And it's called Krohn Consortium. It's my real estate strategy on how I get these ROIs. The first 10 pages just show you exactly how I do it. The entire rest is my track record on thousands of homes. You literally can Google these addresses. You can look up these homes. You can go to the county records. You can see my ownership. Our LLCs are always titled, with the first 2 initials of my name, KK. So it might be KK and your initials, DW, LLC, and you'll see it in that county. All of these homes that you see that I have ownership in have numbers like this. Let's put it on the screen. Now, by the way, I know this is fuzzy for some of you, but the document I just gave you is obviously crystal clear because you can download it. And if you look at the bottom half of the screen, this is where you have all of these assumptions on gross rent, taxes, insurance, HOA, because we factor in the numbers down to the penny. But I don't want you to look at that for right now, because we're giving you a cursory overview. Starting on the middle left, this home is built in 2024. It's just shy of 1,500 square feet. It's 3 bedrooms. It's 2 bathrooms. It's $198,000. Now I want you to look at the middle of the screen under that gray 5-year mark. We're showing that our cash on cash is 2.28. If we add in our principal reduction, it gets us to 5.45. And then if we add in depreciation, we're sitting at 8.16. Now, all of these numbers are 20% conservative because we're guessing everything low, including the appreciation. And even still with that and adding in appreciation, that final number that you see, 28.41. Give me a thumbs up, by the way, because I can see your faces. Give me a thumbs up if you can see the 28.41. 28.41 is the ROI, which means that is an example of a house where $50,000 over 20 years turns into millions of dollars, and it's passive, it's turnkey like I explained yesterday. And so this is the kind of real estate that we're transacting.
Last market.
Last market for today, but I want to do 3 live deals.
Okay.
Ethan, I hope that our 3 guests are on here, my partners that are just getting under contract with their very first deals. Let's talk about Florida.
Okay, so Florida, and specifically Central Florida, so Orlando and surrounding areas. Everybody knows, and they've heard on the news, on the media, but here's a quick graph. Red means people are moving in, blue means people are moving out, and then you have everything in between.
Notice that the 2 deep blue states, New York, California, last year collectively lost 1.1 million people that fled the states, and some went to Texas. Most of them, they went to Florida, which is the orangest state, which I need you to understand, supply and demand. We have so much real estate to build for the bodies moving there. We are behind so much real estate. That's why this is a perfect position to be in, because that's what skyrockets the prices.
Yeah, and obviously a lot is attractive in Florida. No state income tax. You know, you have Miami, that's this new New York hub. I like to say that people move to Florida from the Northeast and Canada, obviously a lot of people, because they use salt to melt snow up there, and they use salt for margaritas in Florida.
Yeah, it's a different game.
And that's really what's happening. It's a very attractive place to go to. So we want to be where there's high demand. A lot of people ask us about hurricanes. I like to show this. In Central Florida, we don't deal with them a ton. Do we still have hurricane coverage on every single home? We do, but the storms dissipate as they hit land. By the time they come to the areas where we buy, we just don't really deal with them much. We have thousands of homes there, and we've never had issues with hurricanes.
Now, what's really crazy is we're looking for markets where we've got billions of dollars. We got a $20 billion surplus in Florida. They are dumping money into the market like crazy for infrastructure, like the railway from Miami all the way up to Central Florida. And on top of that, there's just billions of dollars that they're putting into their infrastructure, which means they're getting ready for all the houses that are being built. So some of the houses that you see are going to be relatively new, and these are the homes that we're getting at wicked low prices that have really huge upside.
Yeah, I just talked to a member of our acquisitions team that, of course, lives there in the market, and he'd just been on this from West Palm Beach to Orlando, and it took about an hour and 50 minutes, and he worked on his laptop the entire time instead of having to drive and be stuck in traffic, and this is huge for that state.
All right, dude, we're going to do our very first house. This is a big deal.
This one is a quick example. I want to illustrate something.
Is this our example home?
Yeah, I want to illustrate what buy today and refinance tomorrow would look like. And so this home is, again, it's another new build that our clients bought, and you can see Kris referenced that cash on cash, principal reduction, so 1.825, almost 9%, and then 32%. So this one's a little bit higher because Florida, we're anticipating a little bit higher growth or appreciation, but a little bit less cash flow along the way. But I want to show you what refinancing would look like. And here's the graph, and I'm just going to skip to the summary of what it does. So if we waited for rates to go down 1.5%, let's call it in 24 months, and we refinance, the cash flow goes from $178 to $364, over
Basically,
100% increase.
1.8% to 4.22.
Yeah,
Strong.
Yeah, huge. Average 5-year average cash on cash goes up 132%, and then the total ROI is now that 34.5, pushing 35%, which is the average, right, of what we're doing in actuality.
Yep. So these homes that you're looking at right now, guys, this is where you build your wealth. This is what they look like. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to take you through some live deals. And I've got some people that I want to bring on. I'm going to start with Mike Wiley. If you're there, brother, and if you can unmute yourself, would love to be able to connect with you and let everyone see your shining face. Mike, how are you doing? Yes, it's Mike Wiley. Let's go ahead and get him unmuted. So we got a number of mics that are here with us. There he is. Okay, Mike, we should be able to unmute you now and get a chance to hear from you.
Okay, perfect. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man, how you doing?
Man, every day is a good day for me.
Dude, I love it, brother. Good juju, good energy. Real quick, when did we meet?
So, I've been looking at investing in real estate for a number of years. been doing a lot of research, probably over the last 3 years, really got serious. And, there's a lot of gurus out there and, just really connected with the way that you're doing things, specifically in a single family model, at a more of I call it more of a blue collar price point entry, to kind of get my foot in the door.
Brother, I'm very excited for you. This is our very first deal, guys. Let's put it on screen. Let's take a look at the house that we're doing right here together, you and I. And this house right now that we're getting under contract, this home is built in 2024. It's that 1,453 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, and we're sitting at a 32.61% ROI, which is so far above that 25%, and that's 20% conservative. So brother, this is a house that in hindsight may end up being a 40% annual ROI home. And as you look at it, all I need to know is if you want to pull the trigger and do this deal.
Heck yeah.
Yes, tell me why.
That number, the 32% cash on cash return is just huge. Going to your live event last week really opened up my eyes, and I have a really aggressive goal now because I'm not going to hold myself back anymore. I missed out on the 08, 09 housing market just because I was fairly young and not ready, and I'm not going to miss that opportunity this time.
Dude, I love it. 2008, when I helped my investors make $100 million, I feel like I missed the boat. I'm like, if I had just done 10X that would have been $1 billion. Like, that was my shot. But I'm taking it now, and brother, for you and I, we are here now, and we're good to go. So I'm glad that we get to do this together. Out of curiosity, like, how many hours are you putting into this business where I claim my team's doing all the work?
So very, very little. Obviously, this was our first deal, and I really wanted to vet you and vet the paperwork. And I say doing that like with a fine tooth and comb, I may have like 4 hours in the whole deal. It was extremely easy.
Awesome, man. And I'm so glad that you are using the fine tooth comb, because some of my partners do. And a lot of them, they just, once you do your second or third deal, it's like, it takes an hour and then you're off to the races. It's totally passive. And so, man, this is, I know, just our first deal, but I just want to congratulate you, and I'm excited for you. So congratulations, dude. This is your home.
To the point, it was so easy. We went to the event last week. We doubled down, and I went ahead and committed to buying a second home. So
Dude,
obviously we're going to be talking more. So
guys, can you do me a favor and put your hands together for Mike? Dude, I'm so pumped for you, brother. Dude,
Appreciate it.
By the way, 2 homes like this, if we're doing that 34% ROI, do the math. What's 17 million times 2? 17 portfolio times 2 puts you right around $35 million in our business that we're building over the next 20 years. And so the cool thing is, man, we got a great thing going, and I'm really excited for you. Everyone, if you can, give him some props in the chat. Let him feel it. Mike, thanks for hopping on and for sharing, and also for getting the deal.
Of course, I appreciate you.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. We'll connect more. All right. Tyler, we got another one here, and this one is with Brent Whitaker. So Josh, if you can find Brent Whitaker, let's get him unmuted. Get a chance to connect with Brent on this deal right here. And let me see if we can find him and get him brought on. All right, Brent, are you there?
Kris, I'm here. I'm
I'm
logged on my phone as well. So I just cut that one off there. There was an echo.
You're good, brother. Dude, how are you?
Man, fantastic. No complaints.
I'm pumped about this deal that we're looking at. Team, if you guys can put this on the big screen. Dude, this is a sweet one. Now, this is your first deal, right?
Correct.
So I'm just excited for you because we definitely found a sweetheart. This is in that same development community. It's 2024, same square feet, 3 bedroom, 2 bath. It's at that 32.61%. And I think in hindsight, we're going to be high 30s or even low 40s on our ROI on this one. And I think my question for you, with actually doing this deal is, what was your big reason for wanting to partner with me instead of just, I don't know, do you in the stock market or the 401k thing or trying it on your own?
Man, well, I actually own several condos down in Panama City, and I've learned a little bit the hard way there. Thought I could cash flow on those properties. Didn't take in consideration some HOA fees, management fees. And so while those properties are appreciating, I get the tax deductions. Couldn't put it together quite like you, man, with the cash on cash, and your whole system is phenomenal.
No, I appreciate it. And by the way, Panama City is beautiful. I actually really love that area of the world. And guys, getting these ROIs, we have to do small little things like condos and townhomes. We'll never appreciate as well as a single family home. Like when we really, like tonight, we're not even getting into the hyper details because, man, Tyler and I, we can nerd out so hard on this stuff. But brother, I'm excited that you've got an opportunity to just jump in and just take advantage of this. When you look at your future and what we're building together, what are you most excited about?
Wealth, accumulating properties and, putting not only myself, but my family in a position to win. The stock market's not going to get you there. I have investments in IRAs and, 9%, 8-9%, year after year is you guys are crushing that with 25-30% ROIs. I mean, it's no brainer.
Well, awesome, dude. Congratulations, dude. This house is yours. Can everyone put your hands together and give it up for Brent? Drop him some love in the chat. Almost feels a little bit like a game show. Like, geez, could it just be that simple? But after you buy a house and you find out, Brent, since you are a seasoned real estate investor, out of curiosity, how much time did you put into this entire deal that we're doing?
Man, honestly, an hour and a half.
90 minutes?
Yeah. I mean, roughly. Yeah.
And I need everyone to hear this from me because I'm going to do a really fun calculation. Tyler, I don't know if you have your cell phone and can pull out a calculator real quick, but I want you to imagine that because it's Brent's first deal, he puts in 90 minutes. And then let's just say it's an hour on every deal after. And let's say he and I, end up doing 30 deals. So he ends up being in how many hours? This is like 30, 40, maybe he comes to one of my events, 50, 60, 70 hours. Let's say that he gets all the way up to he's 100 hours into his portfolio. And it's 20 years down the road and it's worth $15 million. So now you take that $15 million and divide it by 100 hours. And I want to show you guys something. There's a reason why people that really get real estate get it. It's $150,000 an hour. And for me, now when I tell you that real estate is an activity where based on all of my portfolio, when I put in an hour of time, do you guys know what my time is worth? What do you guess? 6 figures or 7 figures? Show me with your fingers on the screen. Give me a 6 or a 7. What do you think?
7.
7, guys. So it is the most valuable thing that I do, but I'm passing that on to you. So Brent, may look back, and he's a young man, he might look back in 20 years and say, oh, like working with Kris allowed my time to be worth 6 figures an hour. And that really is the power of what really high compounding ROI does with time. So Brent, we're wishing the very best. And lastly, we're gonna get James Mickelson, if you can hop on real quick. And let's find James Mickelson. We got one more house that we're gonna do tonight. If we can find James. There's a lot of people on this thread, and I don't think that we're finding James. So my team might find a little bit of a different way, or James, if you want to raise your digital hand, it might help my team find you a little bit easier because we have one more live deal that we're doing here, and James might be short for a different name. We're not getting it on the screen right now, so James, unless you raise your digital hand, I am going to put this on the screen, show the actual deal that we're doing here. So this house that we're looking at is a 2024 1405 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Guys, new home, very basic, and right now your eye can go right to that number of 32.74%, and that's 20% conservative. So I think this is going to be an example that we look back in our look back period of 2, 3, 4, 5 years and say, oh, we ended up ROIing probably closer to 38, 40% on this deal. And those are the deals that we are doing. So if we can, let's just share a little bit of love and give James a little bit of a round of applause. James, we know you're out there somewhere, brother, man. But it's so cool that we're buying this house.
Kris, one thing I would mention here is the box. These houses all look pretty similar, right? The numbers are similar, the square footage. We work with builders and we have input on actual floor plans and on finishes and on all of that because we do so much volume. And so it's just, we're doing it over and over and over and over because the box is so tight. And so you see a lot of these houses and they look very similar, and that's by design, right? That's on purpose. That creates that predictability.
Now, everyone, I want you to hear this. We're going to get wrapped up in about 10 minutes here. We had some tech difficulties. That's why we have everyone actually on our VIP Zoom. We had a problem with YouTube and the internet, but I'm glad that you all could hop on over. Tonight, every one of you is going to be treated as VIP, as an apology from my team, which means that I want you to start dropping some Q&A in the thread for when we go into our second hour. And I've got about 10 more minutes that I want to share with you, and then we're going to head on over and we're going to make sure that we get a chance to hit a lot of the questions, and we're even going to do a couple of game plans. Now's a good time to have Gage pop on in, as well as help moderate some of the questions. Ethan, I'm going to have you be voice of God. And Ice back on the screen, Josh. I just want to show you guys real quick. This last image is actually a super emotional one for me, because these are houses that were bought this last year by members of my team. So the employees that work for me, I hate the word employee because to me they're family. They are we call them A-team members, and very much like having a winning team that can dribble that ball down the court and take home, the trophy. I've got an amazing all-star team. These are their homes. And when people come and work with me, they're not just employees, with W-2s or salaries. They have intentions and goals, and this is what it looks like. So it's cool that they're also building their portfolios, and it's a cool thing.
Yeah. And Kris, one of my favorite things from that is they talk to your partners. They have firsthand experience. It's not, hey, let me talk to you about your game plan, and this is something I'm not doing. It's, I have my own game plan, and I'm executing on it, and let me help you execute on yours, and I love that aspect of it.
Yeah, it's very, very awesome. Listen, this is what we're gonna do right now. I'm gonna take just a few minutes, and since we had some of you here, quite a few that were not here yesterday, what I'm going to be doing is I'm gonna do a quick review of what partnering with me looks like. This will take just a few minutes, and then we're gonna launch into VIP Q&A, and we're gonna launch into game plans. So as you have questions, drop them in the chat. My team is literally snatching them right now, and that's what we're gonna start with, and then we're gonna do some game plans with our VIPs as well. What I wanna do, if you guys are unfamiliar, people find me over the internet, they look at my track record, they read up on it, they see the $2 billion in real estate that I've done, they see the millionaires that I'm creating, and they say, you know what? I wanna convert my 401k or my home equity or my savings. I wanna convert these assets into real estate at the highest ROIs, and you actually can partner with me. And when you do, there's 5 parts of partnership. So for those of you that saw it last night, please bear with me as I take a couple minutes to just create some awareness, because this is actually really important. I'm currently looking for 20 partners. I have enough excess real estate for 20 partners. And here's what my partners get. Number one, when you partner with me, we're partners for life. You inherit my team of 200 experts that are doing all the real estate for you, so it's passive. That's a $10,000 value. Number two, we never touch a deal unless there's a 25% ROI. And just like you've seen tonight, ROIs are a lot bigger. Number three, you get my cell phone, which means that when you're my partner for life, and you got to promise not to give my cell phone out to other people. Like, don't share it. But yes, you're going to be put on a thread with me and my team, and we get to connect. Number four, credit-free deals. If a bank ever says no to qualifying, I have a private fund for my partners that duplicates the same ROI that doesn't require any bank financing. And then number five is that every year I have a workshop. You got a chance to hear from Mike Wiley that just came from that workshop. My partners come out a couple times a year, pick one of those events, get VIP front row, and let me teach you real estate, and let me teach you the mindset of making millions of dollars. Now, that's a $78,000 program for people to basically partner with me. And when they actually partner with me, I want you to just digest this real quick. If they're gonna do a deal with me, because they wanna turn one home into $4.3 million, they're gonna start that business for 10 grand. By the way, for a multi-million-dollar business, this is the cheapest business that you can start. If you partner up with me and want to start on 2 deals, it's $18,000 to get started, to let my team start the business, hire the lawyers, do the work, put it all together, and start transacting. That's for someone that says, if I'm earning 25% ROIs, I want to make $8.6 million. You also know that if we're hitting 34%, the number is $35 million. It's big. Some people want to go advanced and they say, Kris, I do not want to take 20 years. I want to get there in like 5 years, 10 years. So they want to start with 3 deals. They'll make an upfront investment of $26,000 into the business. And then, we're shooting minimally for that 12.9 million mark. And then for my pro partners at $35,000, you guys get to do unlimited real estate with me, because I do have people coming in and they'll drop $1 million and we'll buy a ton of real estate. And so I work with some higher net worth people too, but I also work with the underdogs, the people like me that started with nothing. Now, just so you're aware, this week, because this is my first ever challenge, You don't have to pay these prices. We're doing something very different. I've got 7 bonuses, and this is what's kind of crazy. Number one is that if you become my partner, then I'm gonna mentor you every week this entire next year. And I go live on Monday with you at noon Mountain Time. And during that live call, I'm introducing you to my financial partners. I'm teaching you business. We're doing private game plans. I'm teaching you real estate. And I'm showing you 20 different ways that I make money from all of my streams of income. Number 2 is I have my lease option course that helped me buy my first 25 homes. How I turned $3,300 into 1.6 million. I'm giving you that entire course for life for free. My third bonus is I'm partners with Carlos Reyes. We kill it in wholesaling. Right now we're working on like 40 wholesale deals right now. And I'm gonna give you my entire wholesaling course where you're making like targeting 20 grand on up per deal. I'm gonna show you exactly how that world works. Bonus number 4, all of my mentors, all of their financial products I put in a vault, including all of mine. I'm just giving them to you. It's a $35,000 value. So these bonuses are kind of crazy, and you'll see why in a minute. Bonus number 5 is you get to come to one of my workshops where I hand out $1 million in real estate leads, and we actually get $1 million in profits under contract in the first 2 days of this 2-day event. Next one's coming at May 9th and 10th. So literally come hang with me in my event center in Salt Lake City. Okay, bonus number 6 is you're getting VIP backstage access for the entire week. All of the recordings, you get all the bonus time, second hour with me every night. And then this is the crazy one, guys, is that when you become a partner and pay between 10 and 35,000, normally it's just 50-50 splits on everything. My team is doing research right now. You're falling in a tiny little window where we've altered the splits for life just for you. So if you do a 2-deal or a 3-deal partnership, your splits are 60-40. If you do pro partnership at 70-30, that 70-30 split means that every house we buy, there's $1.7 million that I should be making that I'm gonna give you at that 34% ROI. Which means if Zach buys 3 homes at 34% ROI over 20 years, it's an extra $5.1 million that would be on my side of the fence, but I'm actually pushing it over to Zach. So this is kind of crazy. We're doing it this week only. It's $200,000 worth of all of my program stuff. And to wrap it up before we go into Q&A, the way it works is simple. You pay a one-time $997 deposit by going to partnerwithkris.com. It's being dropped in the chat. If you can see it right there with Xavier dropping that. If you go to partnerwithkris.com, you pay a $997 refundable deposit, and here's how it works. The refundable deposit gives you access to all of the bonuses forever. At the end of the week, if you're not selected to be one of my partners, or I'm not a fit for you, or you're not a fit for me, then I refund your $997 and you still get $130,000 worth of bonuses. You get to mentor every week with me for the next year. You get access to all of my programs, all that kind of stuff. I'm just giving it to you on good faith that you are a good person who really wants to be considered for partnership with me. So you go to partnerwithkris.com. The last thing that I'll announce is that during this event, because we've never done a challenge before, my CEOs authorized me to discount all of my partnership programs. And it ranges from 5 to 20% off. So for example, that unlimited partner deal at 35 grand is now only 28,000. Get your business started, puts us in at a 70-30 split. And on every home, you make an extra $1.7 million, plus you get all the bonuses. So it's very simple. You just, as we move into Q&A, all you do is hit that $997 refundable deposit. It locks you in for the next 4 days. You're gonna instantly receive all the bonuses, and then my team's gonna call you and text you saying, hey, let's do a game plan with you. Let's find out exactly where you are at financially. And now as we prepare to go into Q&A, I want to give away our gift card, and I want to just tell you guys about Wednesday. This is cool. Tomorrow you need to be here because I'm going to talk about how you never pay taxes ever again for the freaking rest of your life. Do me a favor, raise your hand physically up in the air if you never want to pay taxes ever again. I'm just telling you, if you guys hang with me, you're going to be rich. And if you're going to be at a 39.5% tax bracket, thank you, Democrats. And then when we stack on top of that, whatever your state tax is, guys like me, we are at a 45 to 50% tax bracket. It's nasty. And real estate can completely wipe it out. Tomorrow, I'm going to prove to you what you do to never pay taxes again. So when you look at someone like Donald Trump in the news and you're like, dude, what's this billionaire not paying taxes? He's got to be screwing the system. After you watch tomorrow, you will learn how to be your own Donald Trump, that you don't have to be a mega multi-millionaire to do this kind of stuff. It's very cool. Carlos is super pumped about that. That's what's going down. Each property, by the way, we're going to talk about how it increases your income but lowers your taxes. I'm gonna show you how to calculate it. We're gonna show all of you how to calculate it all together. Then I'll be doing some live game plan demonstrations. That's gonna be tomorrow, Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And with that, I got to get the name from Xavier of the individual that is getting our $100 gift card. We've got that name coming over to me in just a second here. So if you guys can, while we're waiting to pull that up, we are going to be moving into our Q&A session. So I hope you guys dropped your, your email and your information there, your questions. We're dropping them right in the chat for live Q&A. And other than that, dude, we're also going to do some live game plans. So I also have Gage here who's going to be handing me some of our VIPs that are like, okay, I want a Kris Krohn game plan. And Tyler and I are going to do those for you guys. We're going to first answer a bunch of questions about the market. And here we go. Tyler, man, we did it, bro. I know we started a little late, everybody, but we're about an hour in. We got our Q&A going, and I appreciate all you guys hanging with me. By the way, the winner of our $100 Amazon gift card will be reaching out to you is Natasha Sorto. So if everyone can give Natasha a huge round of applause. Natasha, what's up? And my team is now going to be reaching out to you. We will make sure that we actually get that dropped right over to you. And with that, we are going to get started right now, Ethan, on Q&A. We got me here, we got Tyler here, and then Gage is handing me our game plans. Those of you, by the way, that are doing the 997 deposit, I want to be really clear. If you can put this back on the screen, Josh. If you go to partnerwithkris.com, it will actually allow you, Josh, go ahead and put that back on the screen. This will allow you to be considered for getting a game plan with me and a guaranteed game plan with a member of my team. Because later tonight when we do game plans, I'm doing those game plans with everyone that does the 997 and participates at VIP. And if you're confused on why it's refundable, yeah, you pay $997, you're VIP for the week, you get all the benefits. And then if you choose not to partner with me, I just give you your money back. And so it's just kind of a cool backwards thing that we do here around the office. I do want to also, James, if we can pull the screen down, let me actually find real quick the phone number for everyone here that also might be thinking, hey, if I want to talk to a member of Kris's team, because for whatever reason, I'm not going to use the internet, I'm going to pull that up for you guys real quick right now as well. Go ahead and Josh, put that on the screen as well. That phone number, guys, is 801-894-9416. You can connect with my team, call them. They can handle that deposit and handle your questions over the phone as well. With that, let's get going. And what kind of questions do we have, Ethan?
Yeah, we got a lot of questions coming in, Kris. So first question is from Michelle. Can you do one and then choose to do more? I'm guessing with partnering with buying houses.
Yeah, Michelle, that's a really good question. So some people are in a position that they're like, I just want to see how one goes and then I want to upgrade later. Just be aware that you're seeing splits tonight and you're also seeing discounts that don't exist like outside of this really weird dispensation during the 5-day challenge. So if you do want to upgrade later, you're just going to upgrade with regular full prices. And so you don't pick up any of those savings. So my advice is to start with the partnership that makes sense. When people sometimes start with one to see how it goes, one of the things that you need to, I think, know is that I'm a financial influencer. I get 5 to 10 million views every week, and I'm scrutinized by every regulatory body. I have 12 different funds. I own a foundation. In 2009, I had an SEC investigation because someone stole money from me, and then there was no truth to any of the claims. Like, you can Google me. You can also literally look at all of my deals. There's zero reason to be skeptical on a guy like me because all of the research, I make it available to you publicly. My advice is, go with your gut. Don't be cautious. If I feel right and that's inspired, then be my partner and let's go buy the 3 homes that we're supposed to out the gate or whatever it is. So honor yourself. If you're skeptical because you've been burned and you want to go slow, my experience of skeptical people used to having been one myself is that we get punished for it. And here you'll get punished because you just have to pay more and upgrade and whatnot because people that have been hurt before, they kind of just get a little bit nervous. Do you know what I mean? Until you learn to overcome it and realize that you don't have trust issues with other people. You just have trust issues with yourself. We're all here to learn and figure them out. All right, what do we got next, Ethan?
Yeah, so this is a 2-part question from Josh Simpson. He says, first question, how do you set up your LLCs? Is it a parent company, then every house you own is under separate LLCs owned by that company? And then part 2 is what kind of loan are you using to get these properties?
So I'll answer the LLC, and then Tyler, I'm going to come to you on loans. Mm-hmm. So we do not set up an LLC for every house because the advice that you've heard is that if you've created a corporate veil of protection around your entity and you only put one in-house in it, and then you have a problem with that house, then it can't escape that, and someone else can't sue you for all your other entities. And I'm just gonna tell you, on the last 6,500 homes that I've done, I've had 0 lawsuits. It's a waste to set up an LLC, especially when you get to tax season and you're paying hundreds of dollars every year for every turn, and it's just eating your cash flow away. It's just stupid. So we generally put about $1 million worth of real estate into the LLC before we start our next LLC, about $1 million worth, sometimes 2, and that's my comfort zone that I'm really comfortable with.
And one thing to add to that is we don't shop for insurance on Geico online to try to save $8 a month, right? We make sure that they're insured properly for that added protection. And then on the mortgages, this is a really easy answer. We do 30-year fixed. In years past, we tried doing interest only, we tried doing variable, and again, we learned a lot in 2009, 2010 of when those rates adjust. If it's bad timing in the market, you can find yourself in a bad position. So we do 30-year fixed, creates all the predictability that we want. And if rates go up, we're glad we have them. If rates go down, we refinance.
Man, there's some good questions I'm seeing loading up in the chat here, which is awesome, because Tyler Bennett is my in-house economist. What he normally does is I said, Tyler, I'm begging you, please, no more than 10 rapid slides on the economy, because he'll do a 3-hour update and say, here's how the entire economy works, and here's what's gonna happen, and you'll get to, if you come live to one of my events, Tyler will show you what a proper economic update is as it relates to the world and real estate. And because he's got amazing expertise. So let's take advantage of that expertise.
Yeah, next question. This one just came in. Dennis Ortega. I'm starting off with only 5,000 and a 660 credit score. Can I still get into my first property in Florida, or should I focus on saving more in order to go full force in the near future?
So first of all, this is Dennis Ortega?
Dennis.
Dennis, first of all, really great question. When I got started, my very first mentor said, save up enough for house hacking, which means a 3% FHA loan, which for me was $3,300. And on that same house today, it'd probably be closer to like $9,000 or $10,000. So, you know, probably save up another $5,000. And then even though you've got a credit score of 660, a couple things you can do. Keep your credit clean, keep your nose clean, always keep your debts, you know, in a good spot. And just Google my YouTube video on how to like raise your credit score. And I'll just show you in 8 minutes how you're supposed to care for your credit. But 60 isn't bad. There's a couple little baby things that you can do to bump it up to 680. But there are different government programs right now that will actually lend you on a deal. I think it's just save up another few $1,000 and then, you know, hop in and then buy your very first primary residence.
And then do what I did, right? Eventually you move out of it, it becomes your first rental property.
That's exactly how I got started.
Yep.
And then Tyler and I, the cool thing is we use the equity in the first house to buy the second. And then we use the equity in the second house to buy the third. And when it comes time to buy your next house that you're gonna move into, and it's another 3.5% down payment, that's wild. That's crazy. So yes, Dennis, that's definitely the move. By the way, Dennis, hang with me on Friday. Because on Friday, I'm going to be sharing with you my #1 strategy, the dumbest and easiest strategy for buying real estate with no money and no credit. You're gonna love that.
Awesome. Okay, this next question is from Rob. I currently have 9 fourplexes in South Texas, McAllen, Edinburgh, West Laco, and Far. Would your team help me sell those to do a 1031 exchange and do deals with you at highest package? Yeah,
so actually I'm gonna bring this one over to Tyler, but I wanna just share this idea because people will ask me, Kris, why aren't you doing fourplexes? Why aren't you doing multifamily? And it all comes down to one thing, because people really want me and Grant Cardone to get in a skirmish, right? I don't mind getting in a skirmish with any of these guys because it all comes down to one number, ROI, return on investment. So if you take a look at the average multifamily deal, I cannot get them to produce, first of all, I can't find them as regularly as single family. They're not as homogenous, and I can't get them to produce 34%. I can't get them to produce like 30%. I can't get them to produce 25%. Often they're hovering in like the 16 to 21% range. And when people are doing those kind of deals, it's because they're lazy. And I listen, just please don't take it the wrong way, but everyone thinks that more doors and fewer complexes is smart. So they think that you're supposed to like go from single family and graduate. The word graduate, I hate that word, because why would I want to graduate to a lower ROI? If the difference between a 25% and a 34% is only 9, and 9% takes me from 4.3 million to 17.4, it's 4 times more money for 9%, which means this: if you like 25% ROI, then you've got to fight for 28, because that 3% freaking does amazing things. Like literally between 25 and 29%, you more than double how much money you make. How crazy is that? It's really, really wild. So the big picture answer is, yeah, we can evaluate your portfolio. I know, by the way, I know what ROIs are in Texas. Your cash on cash is a little bit higher. With your appreciation, your overall ROIs are going to be a lot lower. And so we'll evaluate that portfolio and 100% can help you figure out how to 1031 exchange that and then put that into these more productive markets.
Yeah. And Kris, I mean, you pretty much answered it all, but one of our favorite things to do, and first and foremost, congratulations on owning real estate and having rental properties, because that gives you options. And one of our favorite things to do is to dive in and analyze your current portfolio, how it's performing, what the ROIs are, and if you were to sell it, what we could do with it. More often than not, it's going to make a lot of sense to go through and do that process, but we'll dive in and map that all out for you so you're super clear on what it would look like.
So Alma Gomez just dropped this most recent question. And Josh, if you can put this slide back up, you're asking for a phone number to get a call back. Josh Garcia is going to put it up right now. That phone number of 801-894-9416. Guys, keep this. That is the phone number to my team that I've trained to do Kris Krohn game plans. They can step into your shoes and answer complex questions like, oh, you have like 9 fourplexes? Done. We're going to give you a game plan on how that works. So you can call and connect with my team. But the easiest thing to do is also just go to partnerwithkris.com, pay the refundable deposit, get access to $200,000 worth of all of my stuff. And if at the end of the week you don't partner, we're going to refund the $997, but leave you with $130,000 of all of my bonuses, which means come to my live events, connect with me, get live mentoring with me. And I've been told by all of my peers I shouldn't do this. Like, it's crazy generous, but I just don't care. Like, I want to help as many people as possible. And I understand that for some people, there's like a moment of faith. That $997 deposit is a little scary. It's like, geez, that's like, am I really getting, like, is Kris Krohn for real? Am I, yeah, guys, I've got 2,000 videos on YouTube. I promise if I say I'm going to refund your $997, I will. It's more about like, let's do a game plan. Let's give you benefit. Let's let you trial everything on and let's see if it's a good match.
Yeah. And the cool thing about the game plans are it's just math, right? We eliminate emotions and it's, can we produce a better return if we did this, or you have this capital to work with, and if we reallocate it to a real estate, would it do better than it is here? And if it makes sense, you go.
Yep. Okay, we're gonna do our next couple of questions.
Okay.
And then we're gonna have Gage bring in my game plans so that I can do some game plans with some of the people here.
Yeah, our next question comes from Robert. He says, I was just gearing up to buy 10 or 20 Section 8 homes in Alabama, but I feel like this could be much better. Also, do you do any other investments that focus on cash flow?
Thank you. So there's a couple of things there. The first one is when someone says that I really want cash flow, once you become my partner, I just start giving you access to cool stuff. For example, I've got a private fund that produces around 15% ROI cash on cash. And if you just look at that, like, it's a pretty big deal. Like real estate, you buy it paid off, you can get it to produce 4 to 5%. But what I really want is to have Tyler talking about the Section 8 housing, because on the outside, there's some things that look really attractive. It's like guaranteed money from the government on these homes. And people ask me, Kris, why don't you do Section 8? And Tyler, launch in.
So a couple main reasons. One, there's spreadsheet cash flow, and then there's actual cash flow. And what we found is spreadsheet or pro forma cash flow on these lower end houses compared to what actuals are when you fast forward 2, 3, 4 years down the road is vastly different. Because even though you have guaranteed rent, more often than not, those homes are older, they're not in great condition, and the repairs and maintenance, and then those tenants aren't super predictable. And so the turnover or how they treat the home really, really eats into the cash flow. Another main reason why we don't play in that market specifically is there's no resale market, Kris. If you ever wanted to liquidate, there's not very many buyers. It's just investors, and everybody owns in there or rents in there. And so you can't really do the buy one, sell it because it goes way up in value and turn 1 into 2 and 2 into 4. That whole model just doesn't really work because those values just don't go up much, because those values are based off of rents, and rents are very steady in those types of markets. And so an investor is going to evaluate based off of a cap rate or the income. And so the values just don't go up much. So those are two of the main reasons. and it just doesn't have that predictability or the growth factor that we like.
And at the end of the day, all I'm going to say is after you've done a number of those deals and 4 months later, someone walks off with permanent fixtures and you put $40,000 to repair it, the government doesn't give you money for that.
We've done hundreds of those deals, and we've learned firsthand.
Yeah. So
what can go wrong?
And not only that, but we've evaluated Louisiana. That is definitely not a market that we're going to be buying real estate in. So there's a reason why Forbes says that the average ROI for the average investor is 10.4%. And it's because they're like, I heard this thing, I'm going to go buy Section 8. And so I'm lovingly, I'm going to kill you on ROI. So like, just do it different. One of my favorite things to do, I hope I'm not coming across too crass, but it is really, like Tyler said, taking the emotion out of it and getting to the number and understanding this. When I understood what a single percent of ROI would do after 25%, we went on a chase for 16 years. It was 25%, 25.75, 26.1. And we played this game and went into different markets. And then finally, when we broke 30%, dude, it was like, it was this huge victory, but then we didn't stop. And we'll keep pushing it up. And we're definitely getting to the point where we're fighting for that last 10th percent, but it is the difference between $4 million and $17 million. So it's been a worthwhile pursuit. So all I would say is if you're gonna consider any other kind of real estate, get accurate performance and ask, what is the actual ROI, not the paper ROI, really gonna be? And then just don't get attached to a strategy, don't get attached to a market, don't get attached to your backyard, and don't get attached to a guru. Get attached to the ROI.
Yeah. And Kris, it's worth reiterating, you said it already, and don't get attached to a number of door count, right? You could look at these $60,000 or $70,000 houses and say, I could have 3 doors to 1 door, but again, it's all about the ROI. If we can get much more ROI with 1 door, that I would much rather have that 1 door than 3 doors.
Yep. So we're gonna do 2 more questions and then we're gonna actually do our first game plan. Gage, have you confirmed that these people are actually here with us here tonight? If you can, let's do that. I'm gonna call you guys by name and we're gonna see if you guys are really rearing and ready to go. And then we're gonna do some game plans together. So let's do 2 more questions.
Okay. Yeah, this next one comes from Simon. He says, how do you get the equity out of your home without raising house payment? And is it better to do a HELOC or a HE loan?
Okay, Tyler.
So if you go borrow against and you increase the loan amount, there's really no magic to say you can get that for free, right? If you go borrow money out of your house, it's not going to be free. One thing to look at is timing interest rates, right? Oftentimes, especially when rates were really low, we were able to do cash out refinances, access equity, and lower mortgage payments. So in a perfect world, that might be possible, but really the answer to that is turn 1 house into 2 houses. Instead of borrowing against it, if you don't want to increase your mortgage amount, then let's sell that and then let's go buy 2 because we can do a 1031 exchange or we can roll over and we can do it that way.
We also have to address what's called arbitrage. Creating wealth is really simple. Here's my definition. Moving money from low yields to high yields. So for example, let's say you borrow money from your home equity line of credit. What asset are you putting it into? Well, it should be a cash flow producing assets. So when my team does a game plan with you, they're going to address that. And like, let's just say that we had someone that said, you know what? I actually am getting ahead $1,000 a month, right? I make $80,000 a year, but I'm saving $1,000 every month because I live below my means. But if you have equity in your house, take $1,000 worth of money out of the house. So the 1,000 you were saving is now canceled out by what you've taken out. And now you've got money and guess what you can do with it? Go put your money to work for you and go make it perform for you. Go make it earn for you. That's how people become rich. Taking your low yields, like your 401k is like, oh, I had a rollover 401k and I have an IRA and they're on the 30-year average, they're doing 6% for me. Cool. Everyone here now understands 6% triples in 20 years, 25%, 27Xs, and 34%, 108Xs. In other words, liquidate. Guys, bankrupt your house, pull your equity out of it, get out of those 401ks and IRAs. They're killing you because they're guaranteed to not be enough money for you, and then go put them into assets that are steady, that make sense, and by the way, that are safer. You know, like you guys know what the stock market does. Guess what real estate does? Not that. There's a reason why we buy it below the median, because when the market crashes, which won't happen for 10 years, the real estate market will come down, but $1 million house can become like a $600,000 house, and a $600,000 house can become like a $420,000 house, and a $420,000 house can become a $380,000 house. And so once you get below the median, it evens itself out and you keep the home and you just keep renting it. So you're getting into a way more stable asset class. Don't confuse a higher ROI with more risk, because sometimes that's not true, and here it's especially not.
Awesome. Yeah, let's talk about 401ks. So Jeremy's asking, how do I get my 401k money into something I can pull tax-free, penalty-free, so I can dump it all into real estate now?
Yeah, so Jeremy, two things on that. The first one is tax-free and penalty-free is sometimes possible, but it may not even be the desirable outcome. And so the important thing is to know you have two options. If you have a current 401k, you're at your job and you're contributing to a current 401k, your money might be in jail and you need to go to your custodian and ask if you can do an in-service distribution. There's a small likelihood you can get your money out. But if part of your previous employment had a rollover 401k that you rolled in, those two 401ks are actually not one, they're actually separate. The rollover 401k you can take now. Same thing like an IRA, you can take it out now and you're like, yeah, but if I take it, I've heard I'm gonna get slapped with taxes and penalties. I'm like, well, one, you can self-direct it to avoid taxes and penalties and put it into real estate. Yes, we can do that. And I'm gonna run an analysis because remember, in real estate, it all grows tax-free through 1031 exchanges and cash out refinances. In which case, do I really wanna grow my money inside a self-directed 401k or IRA, or do I wanna grow it tax-free in real estate? We perform that analysis. So Jeremy, Josh, put that number on the screen one more time, because Jeremy, you're a good example of someone that should be getting a game plan so we can evaluate and do a way more custom scenario on exactly where you're at. If you call that number and connect with my team, they'll be able to show you exactly how that works. And those of you that did the deposit, my team will be reaching out to you anyway.
Yeah, so next question, Jacob Garcia wants to know if he wants to start like really pursuing real estate investing on his own. Are there materials, resources that you guys recommend? And Kris, he says, book recommendations outside the ones you've wrote.
Okay, so Josh, this is actually what I would recommend. One of the bonuses when you do the $997 deposit, I'm actually gonna put this up real quick. If Josh, if we can put this on screen, I just wanna show this real quick. There's a bonus in here, and it's right here. It's 2 tickets to Kris Krohn and Carlos Reyes' 2-day wholesaling workshop. It's May 9th and 10th. It's $10,000 a ticket to go there. And you might be thinking, no way. Like, people pay 10 grand to go to this event. And the reason why over the last decade they have is because we hand out $1 million worth of leads. And during the 2 days, we're going to have about 40 people in the audience actually doing deals, getting under contract that collectively will be making over $1 million on. This is a great place to learn how to do real estate completely on your own. Because if you meet the people and the gurus that are making millions of dollars a year, this is actually what they're doing. They're wholesaling. So this is where I would recommend actually getting started. And if, so I'm not going to give you a book recommendation outside of any of my books, because before I'd give you a book recommendation, if you're serious, I would go to this event. And so if you paid $997 of a deposit and you never intend to partner with me, then when you call and talk to my team, you're not going to be paying $20,000 for 2 tickets. That's probably what I would do if I were you. And by the way, Jacob, it was great to hear from you again, because we got your question yesterday. Brother, I see you showing up really big. Okay, guys, what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna do a live game plan. And what I wanna do is I'm gonna call out and I'm gonna see if I've got some of my VIPs that are already here with me right now. I've got one of you in particular that we've got on the line, Randall Lang. Are you there? And if so, let me see if we can find you, and let me see if you're willing to hop on and have this conversation with me right here. Are we finding Randall? Might be going by Randall.
I don't see a Randall.
Something different. We don't see a Randall.
Don't see a Randall.
Yep, Randall is not available.
So let's do the next one.
Okay, the next one. I want to see if we got Gerard Gilbers here. Gerard, do we have you available?
And if you're here, raise your digital hand and we can find you
Gerard is
faster.
spelled Gerard. Raise your digital hand. Let me see if we got Gerard in the house.
I don't see Gerard.
Don't see Gerard. I got Lynn, Lynne. Lynn, are you here? All right, I'm going to turn this back over to my team to actually pair these up with who's in the audience, make sure that we do game plans, and we're going to go to our next questions, Ethan.
Okay. Yes. Let's see. Do you receive a monthly passive income once you partner?
Yes.
Cash flow.
But I'm going to tell you that most of my partners decide to actually roll them. It's really, they just want to roll it forward and build their accounts and then buy more real estate. But it's your choice. So the cool thing about being in partnership with me is that, like, let's just say our friend from Louisiana that was thinking, I want to buy a whole bunch of Section 8. Let's say he also has a tax bill, because when you are ready to dump a lot of money in real estate, you often have you're paying more in taxes. And tomorrow I am going to reveal how you never pay taxes again. So I'm not going to blow my wad on that one for tomorrow, but I will say this. We could buy a bunch of single family homes that have higher performance than Section 8. And then I can do a very special type of accelerated depreciation and basically take 10 years of depreciation up front. And all of a sudden I might build for you, $1 million or $2 million worth of tax write-offs just out the gate in the first year. So that's custom. And that's what happens when we partner up and we do deals together is we're going to look at your tax situation. We're going to look at your cash flow situation. We're going to find out what you're prioritizing and what's important to you. And then we're going to build the partnership around what your priorities are. Great question. Thank you.
Perfect. So we have Xavier saying that Robert hasn't submitted the game plan, but to bring him on live and he'll give you all the details.
All right.
So let's
do we want to bring Robert on?
Let's bring Robert on.
Robert, if you can, go ahead and unmute yourself and let's get a chance to hear from you. How are you doing?
Are you there?
I am.
Can you hear me? Yeah, I'm here. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Great to connect with you. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, I got to ask, are you willing to get financially naked?
What does that mean?
That means I'm going to ask you questions about your finances and you get to tell me the answers.
Oh, yeah. I'm an open book. Go ahead.
Bro, you don't have to take your shirt off, okay? We're gonna keep all the clothes on. We're gonna get financial naked. So to do a game plan, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let you guys see how I tackle this. I'm gonna pretend I'm Robert. And I'm just gonna say, if I didn't have any of Robert's rules, any of his obligations, any of his sacred cows, and I could just be Kris Krohn, what would I do to make $1 million as quickly as possible? So Robert, let me start by asking, what do you do for a living?
I'm a dentist.
All right. Is there a reason why you're covering up your camera with your hand?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was just holding. I didn't realize I was on camera.
Yeah, you're on camera. I'm seeing you and the fans and everything. I got you. So you're a dentist. And how much are you making roughly a year?
I don't know for sure because I don't work that much anymore. I used to work a lot and I made a lot, but I think I only work maybe 70 days a year now, but I'm probably 300,000 or 400,000.
Okay. And 401k, IRA, assets, do you have anything like that?
Yeah, so I have about 500,000 liquid right now, and I've got about 1.3 in real estate equity, and I've got about 600,000 in 401k.
The 1.3 million in real estate equity. How much? I see your net worth there. How much cash flow is that producing altogether a year for you, roughly right now?
Oh, not very much. 20, 50, 60, about $6,500 a month. I've got two duplexes and a single family. The majority of the equity is in my home, and then
Yep.
I own another home that my mother-in-law lives in, but it's completely paid off.
Yes, I know it's paid off because your cash flow is really low. And I can just tell you a couple of things. By the way, do I have permission to be fully 100% Kris Krohn?
Sure.
Okay, we're all going to learn together because what I'm going to do is I'm going to share and impose on you some of my financial rules of how I build and create wealth. And the first thing I can tell everyone here is that Robert is a really good accumulator. There's two types of financial people. There's reckless spenders, there's accumulators, and right sandwiched in the middle is you have investors. Now, a reckless spender makes money and spends it, and so they always live check to check. An accumulator is really good at making money, and then they save as much of it as they possibly can. Now, I know Robert's an accumulator because he has $500,000 liquid getting zero performance. He has 600,000 in a 401k, and it's paying him nothing. He has a bunch of equity in real estate, but because it's only producing 6,500 a month, I know that a ton of it is paid off. So what he is he's a really good accumulator, and because he's been good enough at it, he works 70 days a week, makes $300,000 to $400,000 a year. He's doing a lot of chill time. He's probably enjoying his life. He's having a lot of fun. But let me tell you what turns my stomach. all that money he's accumulated is not performing. It's not working for him. Raise your hand if you guys know that, if you see that. So it's like, he's got $2.5 million doing nothing. Like, it hurts my soul because he's not an investor. He's an accumulator. And Robert, those are not meant to be derogatory bad words. But when I look at Robert's situation, I'm like, okay, I'm here to get performance on my money. In other words, I've worked my butt off for money. Now I want my money to work its butt off for me. And if your money's sitting in a 401k, folks, is it working its butt off for you? No, it's producing you a safe ROI. By the way, the average 401k, write this down. They did a 20-year study. The average 401k is producing 4.2%. Tyler Bennett, currently inflation is sitting at what?
Just about that, barely under.
4.2%. So right now, your 401k is not working. It's breaking even. And so it's not even working. And so it's like, okay, I got to get this money to perform. Robert, I'm kind of curious. You know, you've got your work whittled down, so you've gotten a lot of your time back, which, by the way, is super cool. And it is cool that you've been an accumulator because it gives you investment options. My question for you is, what is your financial goal? Like, what is it that you want to produce?
Okay, so you know, I was kind of, you know, I've been following you for a while and listening to a lot, and I was doing what you said. I was hoarding cash and just sitting on it because I'm really uneasy about the state of our country and all of that. But then I have 5 children, and I spend a lot of time traveling with my kids, and I just decided that I need to put that money to work, and because I don't want my kids to do a 9 to 5. I want to teach them how to build a real estate empire, and be able to support themselves in real estate, and that's why I moved to you. And I was leaning towards doing the whole Section 8 thing, and I signed up for your wholesaling class a week or 2 ago, and I've been listening to that. And then I got in here by accident. I didn't even realize what this was, and I heard it, and I thought, okay, that's what I want my children to understand is building generational wealth, and in not having to be dependent on a boss and punching a clock.
Yeah, I hear you. No, and I appreciate that. And that's actually beautiful because you're leaning into that phase of life. I got 4 kids myself. Like, it's Tuesday, and every Tuesday morning, my kids are all privately schooled. And my wife and I had this dream when we first got married that we didn't want our kids to be educated in the public system. And so 5 years ago, we took them out of school, hire our own teachers. They come into our home, and we do world school. So, you know, we got back from Japan, and before that, the Galapagos, and rented a $70,000 yacht and yada, yada, yada. But on Tuesdays, Dad comes in and I teach him money. And what I do is today I taught them about taxes. This is cool because I got a 12-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 15-year-old, and an 18-year-old. And Dad is teaching them what are taxes, what are federal, what are state, and then how you never pay them. And it was, and so, I mean, you can imagine that would be kind of a weird dad, but I'm that weird dad, and that's what I do with my kids. And it's because my goal is not to give them generational wealth. I teach my kids that Dad is rich, they're not, they're poor. If they want to be rich, Dad will teach them things, maybe even provide, loans with terms, but Dad doesn't give them stuff because that's how you spoil and ruin a human being. And instead it's like, okay, I can help create opportunities, but you got to go to work and you got to prove that you want it, and then I'll let you get after it, So I love what you want to do there with the generational wealth. And that can start with you taking this $2.5 million that you've shared here and saying, "Go, it's time to get this. It's time to get this to work." Tyler, real quick, do you have just some insights real quick on the $6,500 a month from the real estate that is owned?
Yeah, so that ends up being about 78 grand a year, and it's producing about a 6 to 7% ROI right now.
Cash on cash.
Correct.
But the rest of the ROI is going to be very, very low because it's sitting and paid off.
Correct. If you just add in just the liquid cash that he has right now and use that as a calculation, it's closer to 4%.
Yeah, 4%.
And then, so basically his whole portfolio is doing about 4% when you add in the 401ks.
And with inflation, that's zero.
Yeah.
So here's a couple of thoughts for Robert's game plan here. First of all, Robert, is it okay that we're talking this way to each other?
Absolutely.
All right, very cool, brother. By the way, I have so many of my partners that are dentists and endodontists and orthodontists, and my buddy Brian Trapnell just did a private equity deal and sold a bunch of his practices and just killed it, and he's just going hard on real estate because it's safe, secure, and produces what you want it to. So I want everyone to see what I'm thinking. When I see 50 grand, I think of a house, and I just want you to watch how I add these numbers up. Tyler, add this up. There's a 500,000 liquid, so that's 10 homes. There's 1.3 million in real estate, so that's another 16 homes. There's 600,000 in a 401k, that's another 12 homes. And all of that combined is
38
homes. So I just want to do you know how tonight we've been talking about, hey, what would happen if you bought 5 homes or 2 homes or 1 homes? You know, Robert's in a position where he could buy 38 homes, which means that we're now talking about, you know, over the next 10 to 20 years, we're now talking about building a portfolio that's 9 figures. We're not talking about making 5 million or 10 million or 20 million. Over the next 20 years, Robert could say, oh, like generationally, I want to build a $500 million portfolio, and I want to set up a foundation, and then I want to give money, and I want to do all these cool things. And when I'm ready to rip off my mortal coil, here's the way that I want it to responsibly pass forward. And then just lovingly between me and Robert, don't give your children a ton of the money, make them work for it, make them qualify for it, make them do something for it.
Let me tell you, they ask me all the day.
Yeah.
They ask me all the time, who's going to get the money? And I said, none of you. I'm not giving you anything. If you want to work for it, that's something else, but you're not going to be given anything.
And here's something that's really neat, Kris. You mentioned we have a lot of dentists, orthodontists, doctors, because they have to trade time for their dollars, right? If they don't show up to work, right? If Robert doesn't go in those 70 days every year, he doesn't generate that income. And I think that's why they're so attracted to what we're doing, because we can help them create that passive income so they don't have to trade their time for those dollars.
So Robert, write these options down. I'm just going to share them with you in no particular order. I'm going to start with the 401k because—
Hold on, I got to grab a pencil real quick.
Yes, you're going to want to do that. And everybody, as you're listening to what I'm doing with Robert, take notes and ask, how does that apply to you? And make sure you understand this, because even if you're like, well, I don't have a 401k, or I don't have $1.3 million in real estate equity, let me tell you something. When we get to Friday and I teach you my #1 strategy for buying real estate with no money, no credit, it actually has to do with how well you listen to this entire week, because I'm going to show you how to turn the knowledge I'm giving you right now into millions of dollars without needing any money up front. And no, it's not like some magic trick. It's not BS. It's not a gimmick. It's literally how I've built my entire portfolio. Okay, Robert, I see you turning the light on. Are you getting close to something to take notes?
I'm ready. I'm good to go.
Awesome, brother. Here we go. #1, the 401k. I'm on a war path. You can take that 401k and you could take out and pay the taxes and penalties. And based on your income, you're probably going to pay $250,000 to penalties and taxes. And I don't want you to do that. So instead, we're going to do what's called a self-directed 401k. And if you self-direct it, you could take that $600,000 and dump that into the equivalent of 12 homes. Now, a self-directed IRA can only be used in a couple of different ways. One, you can buy paid off real estate, which you know I hate, because right now $600,000 is going to buy you 2 homes, and then you're going to have another $2,500 a month. But instead, I could buy 12 homes and still produce $2,500 a month. But everyone, I'm going to test your intelligence on spending 2 days with me. Does Kris Krohn want you to have 2 homes or 12 homes? Show me on your hands, number of fingers. How many do I want you to have? You can't even do it, right? I want you to have 12. Thank you very much. I saw that, Carlos. I want you to have 12 instead of 2. And the reason why is because 12 homes means 12 homes giving you tax benefits, 12 homes of cash flow, a partridge, a pear tree, 12 homes of appreciation. All of those benefits, more homes, more better. So we can self-direct it, and I can put it into what I've called a partner fund. You see, you can't use it to just buy individual homes because of self-direction rules, but in my partner fund you can, and you can basically get the same ROI and spread it over a bunch of homes. We'll give you more details on what that looks like later, but that's the first thing, is that 401k, avoid the taxes, avoid the penalties, and so you don't flush $250,000 down the drain, and I'm gonna get you the equivalent of 12 homes. The other option I want to throw out for fun, this is beyond the scope of our 27X challenge. When my real estate partners are accredited, and that means that they have a net worth of $1 million on up, they're then qualified for a very special club that I have called Investors Club. And those investors want to get in on my private equity deals. I pick 10 companies a year with $1 billion plus potential, and we basically drop all of them into a fund, and then partners can drop in $100,000 or a couple $100,000. And these investments don't have 25 to 35% ROIs. They have 10x, 20x, 50x, 100x potential. And so when someone has over $1 million, if they can take a small part of their portfolio and put it into that type of asymmetric upside, that's when it's like, oh, I put a lot into real estate, but I put a little bit into private equity. And guess what made me more money? All of my real estate or a little of my private equity? Well, that little bit of private equity can actually outpace your real estate performance. It's a diversification point, and I bring it up because it's perfect for self-directed accounts. So that's a second option. The third option is the $500,000 liquid. If there's one thing that you shared that has my skin crawling hard, it's that $500,000 is giving you your lowest performance. So inevitably, in 2 days, I'm gonna talk about one of my favorite skill sets of how to earn what's called a triple dip. It's where you have your money going through a life insurance policy, a rare kind, pulling it out, putting it into a real estate deal, and pulling it out and putting it into another deal. And the same dollar is earning in 3 places at once. So some of this liquid, I would be putting it through an insurance policy so I can earn 3%, pull it out, stick it in real estate, and then I can do a special type of refinance up to 60% of the value, pull the money out, and even buy more real estate again, have my same dollar sitting in multiple places. It's kind of, by Thursday, that's gonna make a lot more sense. But the point is you might wanna keep, 50,000 or 150,000 liquid. There's a place for that grows at 6% untouchable, but the rest of that money, 300-400 grand, I look at that and I'm like, okay, that's another, that's another 6, 7, 8, 9 houses that you also have the chance to do. And if you focus on ROI, you're not gonna do the Section 8 at the end of the day. The government will give you guaranteed rent, but your renovations every 4 years are gonna be gnarly, and you're gonna be putting 6 figures into fixing up those homes. And so it just kills the ROI. The cash flow is good, and then the ROI just gets destroyed. The tax benefits are cool, but I don't think you have that need for tax benefits right now. At $300,000 to $400,000 a year after your write-offs, we can buy enough real estate to offset that so that you're not paying almost anything in taxes.
Can I ask you something real quick?
Yeah, sure.
I was just discussing this with my accountant, and he was telling me that I'm facing a pretty sizable tax bill this year. And he said that there's no way for him to offset my active income with my passive income, my passive write-offs and depreciation. Is that true?
So it depends. So the first thing I would share is that a CPA is really good for the basics of tax benefits. But once you're paying more than 50 or 100,000 in taxes, I hate to say it, but they are an awful source of advice. So in your situation, there are several workarounds. First of all, with as much real estate as you could be buying with me, you could actually, especially with the time that you're not working, you could technically qualify potentially as a real estate professional. It's 600 hours a year, but frankly, when people see you own enough real estate, they just kind of roll with it. And that would actually allow all of your passive to be written off against your active, just like me. Number two, you need to get a little bit more into fractional family office that starts revealing some of the other tax plays where you can produce active investments that don't take time, that actually can go against your active income as well. So, when he says, well, your tax bill is going to be sizable this year, it's going to be 100,000 plus or whatever. The reality is there's still things you can do to massively mitigate that, but you're going to have to go to a different level of professional than what you're currently dealing with. By the way,
I agree.
My CPA does taxes for billionaires, and he still is a minimal part of my tax team, almost non-existent, because in my world, it's really, really, it's complicated. So there's a couple of things for you to think about. Make sense?
Yes.
Cool. So that liquid, get that money working for you, and then finally we're going to get to the real estate. And you might be married or have a spouse that's like, hey, my house is my sacred cow, I want to keep it paid off. But you've got some other real estate that are technically investments. And right now, paying off real estate, I want everyone to write this down. You pay stuff off. Guys, money is cheap on real estate. You pay it off when your passive income is greater than your ideal lifestyle. So for example, if Robert is making $400,000 a year, let's say he's pulling down $30,000 a month. When his passive income is greater than $30,000 a month, then I give him permission to pay his house off. Do you guys see the way I just did that? Because you know what's cooler? Like paid off debt is a level of security, but it pales in comparison to passive income that exceeds your current lifestyle. And so there's a lot of people that are making this mistake. They have everything paid off, and yet they're used to living off of they live high on the horse, they have a higher income, and then they're stressed because they're like, shoot, my stuff's paid off, but I don't have as much leftover money to invest and make my money work for free. For me, that's why you've got to do it. You got to think backwards. So Robert, I think there's another really big idea for you there. My team would evaluate your portfolio, and then we'd look at what you're least sentimental to. And then we'd say, okay, if it is real, by the way, it may not be worth real estate worth keeping. If your ROI, let's just say, is like 17%, I'm like, bro, like let's put this into something earning way better than that. But if you even are going to keep it, then it's like, cool, let's find the appropriate leverage point, bringing it up to 50, 60, 75% LTV so that we can then let that money go into markets where it's getting higher performance. Again, low yields to high yields. Robert, does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, Robert, I'm not going to quote you a number because the reality is I could reverse an engineer game plan over the next 10 to 20 years where you're like, oh, do you want a game plan that shows you making $20 million? Do you want a game plan that's $100 million? Like for you, you have many options. So you don't have to liquidate everything. You don't have to go buy 38 houses. But this next year, especially with the tax bill, you want to get yourself into 10 houses as quickly as possible, just because you have money that is not performing that you certainly could have performing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Awesome.
So I would like to move forward aggressively. I've got these two duplexes that are played off. I could just sell them rather than taking money out of them.
Yeah. So we're gonna game plan that. I'm gonna let anyone ask questions now based on what you learned from Robert's game plan. And then I'm also going to see if Robert has any other questions as well, because we went thorough on this. Because, by the way, will you guys do me a favor? Drop a 2 in the chat if you learned something as we dissected Robert's situations. Drop a 2 in the chat if that was educational for you. And we got a ton of 2s coming through right now, which is a beautiful thing to see because we're all here to learn from each other. And Robert, I just want to express some gratitude because you got financially naked. You gave a lot of people here an opportunity to ask, okay, so what can I learn about what I maybe should be doing in my life? That was a really good move, Robert. Can everyone put your hands together and give Robert a big round of applause for that one? Thank you, brother man. Super appreciate your willingness.
I appreciate it.
Do you have any last questions for me?
So you gave me a lot of good information. I'm just curious, is this type of financial guidance, is this part of the partnership as well as just the real estate investing? Because I need a lot of help, because I've been trying to change accountants because he doesn't understand anything besides, like you said, his accounting side of things. And he's hurting me at this point, even though he's a really nice guy, but.
Yeah. So we all outgrow our CPAs and bookkeepers, and we always have to level up the game. If you become my partner and you get my cell phone, a lot of my partners, I'm giving them advice on franchises to buy. Like I'm showing them different ways to diversify. In your situation, I wouldn't buy 38 homes, I'd buy 10. But then it's like, oh, I'd probably do some private equity. I'd probably buy a couple of absentee owner businesses. There's some businesses that you can buy right now that'll replace your dentist practice just like that. And then you recuperate 70 more days a year. And now part of your legacy is not just, oh, we're a real estate home. You can be that if you want. But in my world, it's like I own businesses and I have private equity deals out there. And I've got a portfolio of high asymmetric upside on publicly traded companies. And I've got my real estate that I own. I've got my businesses. So, that's the kind of diversification that I would be looking into if I were you. And if you become my partner, you're the kind of person that you join at the highest level, you get my cell phone. And then when it's like, hey, send me to the right person for taxes. How do I, figure out how to go from active and passive and figure out some of these things? What are some of the other things to consider? And what I can do is I can point you in my world to all the things that I'm doing so that you can kind of figure out what makes the most sense.
All right. That sounds great. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep. You're welcome, Robert.
So
Robert,
when do I hear, am I going to hear from your team members or?
Well, let me ask you, put Josh Garcia, if you can put that back on the screen. Robert, did you already do the 997 deposit?
Yeah, I paid for that like a couple weeks ago, and that's why I thought this was part of the wholesaling.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now that my team has now that my team has your information and we've just started the challenge, they should be calling and texting you so that we can basically get you rolling on everything. And so my team will get reaching out with you, Robert.
All right, great. Thank you so much.
No worries. All right, guys, that was a juicy one. Thank you, Robert. We're now going to go to some Q&A and see what kind of questions came through, Ethan. Some final questions for the evening for me and for Tyler, and then we got a lot more game plans happening tomorrow.
Yeah. So we answered Juliana's question. She's wondering why her accountant told her father told her father to not buy more than 4 houses.
Yeah, I have. Maybe Tyler knows. All I can say is really dumb advice. Or like something is severely wrong.
Everybody's situations are so specific with the active passive, like how all that depreciation works, and it's hard to comment without diving into it. But more often than not, we found that the tax advice that people receive isn't necessarily accurate when you're trying to maximize and incorporate a lot of real estate and other moving pieces.
Dude, my CPA's like Kris. Pay you and your wife a salary of $187,000 a year and $82,000 a year so that you maximize your Social Security funding when you're 65. I'm like, do I look like a dude? Do I look like a dude that wants a check from do I look like I care about getting a Social Security check from the government? Yeah. Right? Why would I want to maximize that? So yes, people are, there's all sorts of advice, but they do pinch pennies. And so sometimes my experience of most accountants is that they're really expert at jumping over Benjamins to pick up nickels. And so sometimes their head isn't focused on the right thing. But remember, they're not financial advisors. They're not money makers. Their job is all about saving and minimizing. So Julie, I don't know why that advice was given, but to think that would apply to everyone, to every person on the planet, I would say own real estate. Yeah. And one more house is always going to be better for your personal finances.
Yeah, and the number of houses would honestly have nothing to do with it, because $4 million houses or $400,000 is a very big difference.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's do 3 more questions.
Yeah. Sharon wants to know, if I have 50,000 now and sign up, how long until we buy the first house?
So Tyler, how long does it take to actually get the first house rolling?
Oh, within a few weeks, really. We finalize game plan. We get with lending and make sure everything looks good from a pre-qualification, and we have houses rolling in every single day.
Yeah, we forecasted the next 90 days ahead. So I already know this week I'm going to find my next 20 partners. And so we've already started securing deals in our pipeline for my partners that are onboarding right now. So it happens very, very quickly.
Yep.
Thank you, Sharon.
Let's see here. Brent has a question. It says, are you interested in implementing cost seg studies for the properties we invest in rather than take the 27.5-year depreciation?
So the answer is that it depends. Tomorrow I'm going to go deeper into that. So just to give everyone a background, when you buy a home, you can write it off over 27.5 years. So a $250,000 house, you get to write off $9,000 a year. And if you do a cost seg study to, let's just say, take 10 years of the 30 up front, then you don't get $9,000 write off, you get like $90,000. And that makes sense if you're in a tax situation where you can use that. If you're not in a tax situation that can use it, then don't pay for the study and you save money. And then later, if we sell the home in 5 years, we don't have to do a recapture of some of the money that you actually paid out. So the answer is, it depends. I can tell you for Robert that I was just talking to, we're doing some cost seg studies. Like that may be very well one of the tax strategies he wants to pursue, but I would say 95% of the time that's not the strategy.
But to answer your question, we're always looking at it. And if it's applicable, we're going to apply it.
Cool. Andrea wants to know, she wants you to explain again the benefits of VIP partner right now, not in 20 years, but what the benefits are right now.
All right, I'm gonna make it really simple for you if I can. Josh, go ahead and put the screen up, and guys, let me kind of give it to you real quick. Let's just say someone does the $997 deposit, it's refundable, and here's what happens. Number 1, you become my partner for life. Number 2, we never touch a deal unless we're 25% on our ROIs. Number 3, you get my cell phone for life. Do not hand that out to other human beings. And yes, I'm happy to have conversations with you on your health journey, financial stuff, marriage stuff, because you might know me in a real estate context, but outside of that, people pay me $500,000 to be their mentor in their personal life. Number 4, if banks ever harass you, I will get you real estate without using your credit. And number 5 is that you get to attend a workshop. Now the question was, how does this immediately benefit me? I become your partner today and you start getting a world of different financial advice. Then what ends up happening is I give you 7 bonuses. And here's the first one. Immediately, by the way, even if you refund the $997, this applies. You get to keep this. Every week I'm gonna go live with you like I do with all of my partners for the next year. That means that there's roughly 50 weeks in the year that I'm going to go live, and I'm gonna bring on my top mentors, my business partners, people in every financial sector, showing you how to actually master money, not just real estate. I'm gonna give you immediate access to Keep for Life, my Lease Option Pro program, my wholesaling program, all of my real estate programs in my Financial Genius Vault, and 2 tickets to my workshop in May. There will be another one later in the year where I'm gonna teach you wholesaling. And then VIP does give you access to all of the bonuses and the recordings and everything. And then lastly, this is a crazy one. If you are ever gonna partner with me, by the way, if my 1,000 partners, if they saw what was on the screen, they'd all wanna lynch me. Because this week and this week only, if one of you becomes my partner, you're not a 50-50 partner more than likely. You're gonna get a 60-40 split or a 70-30 split, which means I'm gonna be putting millions of dollars in your account over the next 20 years that should go to me on a 50-50 split, which is really, really crazy. So that's what immediately happens. And then finally, you actually are gonna do, like literally today, I had 2 people become partners of mine. They didn't get a discount. They're not part of the challenge, but being a part of the challenge, you actually come into the program with less. So if you look at all of it and you do that deposit, that gives you all of those things. And I hope that makes sense for you. And it's all about trying us on as partners with each other. So great question. Glad we could hit that. I got time for 2 more questions.
Yeah. When I buy the house, who is in charge of renting it? Your team or me?
I want to be very, very
Team is
clear.
asking.
I want to be very clear, and I'm going to hurt some feelings here, so please bear with me. I will not let you do anything that will jeopardize our real estate portfolio. You're not allowed to talk to tenants. You're not allowed to, like, if you want to fly and get on a plane and lick the house and the siding to say I saw it, you're welcome to do that. You're not allowed to do anything. And it's because I learned something a long time ago. I used to be a coach, and I would teach you, and then I'd watch you do it wrong. And then I'd be smacking my forehead. I'm like, geez, Kris, I can't live with myself teaching people knowing that there's 400 steps, and if they do 3 of them wrong, like, they're gonna hate me because they didn't get the result. They're gonna be hating themselves because they didn't. So I did something no one else really did in the industry. I said, I love you so much, no touchy, like stranger danger. You're not allowed to participate in the day-to-day. Your job is to make the decision. We're buying something, and I can call you up and say, do you want to refinance or sell to expand the portfolio? And outside of that, you are not allowed to do anything. And that's because I love you, and that's because I protect the ROI.
Cool. Michael wants to know, in the event a home stays vacant or a renter loses their employment, do we split the carrying cost?
Tyler, let's talk about these stats, because guys, we have actuaries on thousands of these deals.
Yeah.
How long does it take to actually get a renter?
So really that builds on the last question, right? So renters on average right now is about 3 weeks. Each market's a little bit different, but just over 20 days to place a tenant in. The first mortgage is typically due within 30 to 60 days after buying it. Yep. And then we track everything. So really to dive in on the property management piece, because this is key, because you can do everything right with the wrong property management. Like Kris said, one misstep and you put in the wrong tenant, and then things can go very, very wrong. So when we look at forecasting, when we underwrite all of the houses and we get the projected rent income, we get that from the property management company that's going to be managing it, because that's who we can hold accountable. And if they give us a rent range of $1,725 to $1,800, we're going to underwrite it at $1,750. We're going to go to market at $1,800, knowing we can come down a little bit. But our property managers last year, actuals to pro forma were 101.2% of what the rent was.
Guys, 101.2% means whatever we thought the rent was for the pro forma, we exceeded it by 1.5%.
Yeah. And last year, over 80% of our 12-month leases renewed. And the ones that didn't renew, we know exactly why they didn't renew and how many days it took to get a new tenant in place. Did we have to touch up some paint or some carpet, or what we had to do? All of that is taken into our assumptions and our numbers. And we also use that to help us buy.
Yeah.
So for example, if we renew better in certain areas, we're going to buy more in those areas, or we want to learn why those tenants are buying more and how do we screen tenants better and all of that. So there's a ton of data that goes into managing the property managers and their performance, which makes it very predictable.
Now, I'm going to tell my team to burn the recording of what I'm about to say, and this is for your guys' ears only. One of the biggest secrets to out-of-state real estate is that if you were to do an out-of-state deal, you'd find the best property manager and you'd be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. That property manager has 2,000 homes. That means that they're really experienced and really knowledgeable. And they're going to charge me 10%. So when my 2,000 rent is collected, they keep $200 of it. Let me tell you why you're going to hate your life. You are meaningless to this human being at $200 a month because they're making money on 2,000, not one. How I disrupt that is Tyler and I will go into a market, like Memphis, Tennessee. We'll find a mid-range property manager that has maybe 700 or 800 homes. And what we're going to do over the next few years is we're going to give them 1,000 or 2,000 homes. So they're big enough that they're not small mom and pop. And we basically come and say, we're going to give you so much volume. We want you to charge us, 6 or 8%, not 10%. And they're going to do that because I'm going to double and triple the size of their organization. But here's what it actually means. Property managers will beat up on individuals with, hey, we had to send the handyman in, we had to replace the keys, and it was $180, but it should have been $85. And you just got gouged $100, and it starts eating into your cash flow, and those repairs start actually hurting your ROI. But you see, they would never do that to me. Can you imagine why? They get one phone call from our organization, and we let them know, hey, so far today we've given you 876 homes. Looks like your organization is now twice the size it used to be, and we're having a problem on 3 of these homes. And guess who gets the attention? Is it you worth $200 a month? Or is it me worth tens of thousands of dollars a month? Now that may sound a little bit bullyish, a little bit like Big Brother, but what it is in actuality is bullyish and Big Brother that says, yeah, you're gonna take care of every one of these homes, or else we're going to yank the entire portfolio and go elsewhere. So bulk actually gives us not just buying power, it actually gives us power. And so part of the reason why our homes perform the way that they do is because we swing a really big stick. Okay, awesome. Final question of the night, my friends. By the way, you've all been wonderful. I've loved it. And for those of you that are doing the 997, we will have VIP for you tomorrow night. If you are not, we're glad that you could be bonused into VIP here tonight just because we had some technical difficulties. Who knew that a landline on half the city could actually go down? But thank goodness it did work out. And thank you guys for being patient on hopping on a little late. Last question of the evening, Ethan.
Yeah, so this guy's asking, John, he's asking, if they partner with you, do they sign like an NDA or a disclosure making it so you can't partner with someone else if they find someone else that finds a good deal?
Geez, I don't believe in exclusivity. There's no one, like, for if you want to go and do another good deal with someone else, dude, go, like, it's your life. I don't own you. Go and do that. You don't have to sign an NDA with me. I'm just going to kick the trash out of all the competition out there because I'm so confident in my ROIs. Good luck trying to beat me in the game, right? But if you can, dude, go for it. I'm not going to penalize you or punish you. We're going to focus on the portfolio that we're building together because of the value that I'm creating. I'm going to come at you like Rick's muscles. If you guys can see Rick with his shirt off. What's up, bro? Freaking looking jacked and ripped over there. That's right. I'm talking to you. You're looking good. All right.
Awesome.
Guys, this has been a really fun evening. Can we put our hands together for the one and only Tyler Bennett?
Thank you.
Who is here tonight with us,
Kris.
man. I appreciate you. Guys, we will see you tomorrow at the exact same time. And looking forward to having our opportunity to connect. You guys have been really, really wonderful. And with that, you have a wonderful evening. We will see you tomorrow to talk about how to never pay taxes again for the rest of your life. I just taught my kids. I'm going to teach you guys. It's the coolest trick. You're going to love it. See you then.